Hey guys, I've been thinking about a lot about time lately. I've been wasting a lot of time. I'm so good at wasting time, actually, that I think if it was a job, I might be employed. But I was thinking about how I use movies to categorize eras of my life in the time, you know, aspect. I'm pulling it back around here. Um, but yeah, I was thinking about how in my youth I was watching Harry Potter and binging those movies and the Ghibli movies, and as I grew up and in my teenage years, I was moving to more like art house indie stuff like Marvel and Ted. But I was thinking about a scenario. There's a lot of thinking going on lately, but a scenario where if I had one day or 24 hours to watch movies, like what would I choose for my last movie day? Last movie day, guys, okay? No cry for help. But what would I choose? Would it just be my favorite movies? And I figured that would be it, but not as easy as you might think, actually, because I have a lot of favorite movies and it lasts a lot longer than 24 hours. And I also thought I have a lot of similar like types of favorite movies, so I think I would just be doing myself wrong if I didn't categorize some of it so I can get a fulfilling overall banquet of movies for that day. So I decided to have some rules and some categories, because when you're making a YouTube video, who doesn't like rules? Here's the first rule, okay? In the whole day, I can't go over 24 hours, right? Obvious. Rule 2, after every category, I can have a choice of my own, my pick, okay? That's it. Those are the rules. For categories, I decided on 6, and I think these 6 will give me a good platter of different movies. So, number 1 is best gangster crime movie. Number 2, best romance. Number 3, best science fiction. Number 4 is best comedy. Number 5 is action adventure. And number 6 is best horror. Okay, and remember, between each one of those, I get to pick my own movie, and it will all add up to 24 hours. That is the point of this experiment. But I figure with this, I can get the best arrangement of things. But even with this, this was still really hard and involved a lot of math. I was not suspecting I was going to be doing as much math as I did when I initially thought this was a good idea. So that was fun. All right, let's just get into it.
As far back as I can remember, I always wanted to be a gangster.
That intro alone should get Martin Scorsese's Goodfellas on this list. I mean, this is such a fucking capital C cool movie. First and foremost, this was a very hard category for me to choose. There are so many thrillers I love, like Godfather to Pulp Fiction, but this was just the cream of the crop for me. One of my favorite movies ever. Just so well acted, so many iconic shots. De Niro, Pesci, Ray Liotta in one of my favorite roles as Henry Hill. It definitely makes up for his B-movie cameo.
This isn't a good fella. This is a bad fella.
Also, what about Jimmy Two Times? What about Jimmy Two Times? I mean, come on.
And Jimmy Two Times, who got that nickname because he said everything twice, like...
I'm gonna go get the papers,
This is my favorite Scorsese movie, and it's so well paced and put together and just straight up fun, which is why I'm starting out with it as my first movie. If you watched this channel in the last year, Porco Rosso being on this list was never in question. I love Hayao Miyazaki's Porco Rosso dearly, dearly. I've talked about it on this channel at least 4 times now. If you don't know what it's about, Porco Rosso is a pig who flies his airplane, and he's a bounty hunter, and it's 1930s Italy, and it's an action-packed adventure that I love. Initially, Miyazaki made it for tired businessmen to watch, but sorry Miyazaki, I think 8-year-old me was your intended audience, because this movie rocks. I've adored this since I was a kid, and it still hits as hard as then, but it also has grown for me. There's so much emotion as well as the action in this movie. It tackles survivor's guilt in one of the most beautiful animated scenes I've ever seen. And it gave us this image of Michael Keaton, okay? I mean, what doesn't this movie have? Back to the Future might be a controversial pick for some of you. I'm looking at you, Star Wars fans. but to me, it had to be the pick here. Now, I should say, as a franchise, Aliens and Star Wars and Blade Runner are all better than the Back to the Future franchise to me. But we're not talking about franchises here. We're talking about one perfectly structured movie. I mean, there is not a bit of fat on this movie, except on Stupid Biff's big head. There isn't a moment in this movie where you're gonna be bored. This is as fun as Goodfellas is cool, and a lot of that is owed to the chemistry between Michael J. Fox and Christopher Lloyd, and just an ingenious premise. And that's why I chose this over the other excellent sci-fi movies that I put in honorable mentions. It's just a consistent blast of a movie, and for my third movie of the day, I can't ask for anything more. I feel bad for all the small-brained individuals that think Whiplash is about anything but the fact that Buddy Rich was fast. Man, I love this movie, and think about this four-peat we got going on here with Goodfellas, Porco, Back to the Future, and now Whiplash. Try watching these four back-to-back and try not to be beaming from ear to ear and literally sitting at the edge of your seat. But yeah, man, Damien Chazelle's Whiplash might be my most rewatched movie on this list besides Porco, and for good reason. Besides it having probably the best ending I've seen in movies, just so electric. I still get chills from it today. Miles Teller and J.K. Simmons are absolutely killer in this. It has some of the best editing I've ever seen, and it's just a perfect story about a quest for greatness and what you're willing to give up for it. You ever watch a movie and it ends and you turn it off and you're like, damn. That's Before Sunset for me, and really all the Before movies. If you haven't seen any of this trilogy by Richard Linklater, it's really just Julie Delpy and Ethan Hawke as a couple that walk through these beautiful European cities and just have conversations, and it's amazing. And probably horrible if you've just been broken up with, but it's an amazing look at relationships and how they evolve or degrade, and I think this is the perfect depressant I need for the high from the first four movies. It will help me balance out a little bit. If you've never heard of Master Commander, I'm not mad at you, I'm just disappointed. If you have any interest in pirates or ships or Russell Crowe in a fucking wig, you gotta check out this movie. This is peak Russell Crowe starring as British Captain Lucky Jack during the Napoleonic Wars, and it rocks. He's on a ship and gets attacked by the French, and they attack them, but they can't beat them because their ship is bigger, so they get away because Lucky Jack is smart and lucky, and then they lose them, and then they stop at this island, and oh yeah, there's this doctor on the ship played by Paul Bettany, and he's Lucky Jack's best friend, and they play music together, and it's really sweet. And the doctor collects rare animals and then gets shot, and he's about to die, but Lucky Jack saves him, and then they finally catch the French ship and outsmart them and play more music, and it's awesome and beautiful, and I love it, and it's the perfect pick-me-up after Before Sunset. Shout out Peter Weir, who directed this and also made Truman Show. Superbad, the peak of comedies from the golden age of the early 2000s. So many iconic lines. I know comedy is subjective, but this movie just fucking gets me. I cry laughing every time I see this. I don't know if it's the cast, which is just excellent and just firing on all cylinders, or the writing, or it's probably just a combination of both, but I just adore this movie. It's actually longer than I remember, like almost 2 hours for a comedy is kind of unheard of now, but it does not feel that long, and it's great. Just an awesome watch, and I miss these movies. I'm not gonna be the guy that says comedy's dead, because it's not, but they definitely don't have the sauce with the movies as they once did, and that's all I'll say. The Rat, another one from my childhood, and I just couldn't keep it off the list. As much as I wanted to put Incredibles here, which is another one of my dearly beloved movies, Rat just barely ekes it out. The influence this movie has had on me is many, but nothing more than when I eat a piece of cheese and strawberry together that I remember Ratatouille fondly. Following Remy the Rat in his adventure trying to become a chef in Paris, France is not only fun, but inspiring. Anyone can cook has been a motto that I have been proving wrong for years and will continue to as long as I'm legally allowed to cook. If anyone wants to come over for dinner tomorrow, this is what will be served. This movie is iconic and has spawned a million memes, and for the most part makes watching it again and again even more fun. Also, the music is just incredible, and Brad Bird, king. I'm gonna be honest with you, I'm not a huge horror guy. And it's not because I get scared. I'm 25, I've slept with all the lights off in my room for a couple years now, okay? I've just never really broken into this genre. That was until I remembered John Carpenter's The Thing. I was introduced to this movie a couple years ago and was completely put on my ass. I went in expecting 80s horror, cheesy practical effects, and just kind of overall goofiness, but man, what a dumbass I was. First of all, the practical effects in this movie are incredible. Just look at these things. Besides that, The Thing takes all of your expectations of horror movies and throws them out the window, so ahead of its time. Though The Thing is scary, the real horror of this movie comes from not knowing who to trust. It takes what has gotten these men to survive in this Antarctic community and throws it out the door. I never knew what was coming next, which is really hard for horror to do, and the ending was eerily chilling in the best way. Shout out John Carpenter. All bow down to Facebook King Mark Zuck. Just kidding, fuck Mark Zuckerberg, but not this movie. I love The Social Network. It's one of my favorite biopics, which isn't saying a whole lot because I don't really like biopics. This is because a lot of times it feels like you're watching a Wikipedia article, but The Social Network does not follow those rules. This is an iconic movie that I almost forgot to put in, which is crazy given how many lines I quote, like,
Sorry, my Prada's at the cleaners! Along with my hoodie and my fuck you flip-flops, you pretentious douchebag!
Like, come on, it doesn't get better than that. The acting and screenplay and music have been praised countlessly, but they're gonna get a little bit more from me. First of all, music, Atticus Ross, Trent Reznor, amazing stuff, fellas. Andrew Garfield, Jesse Eisenberg, great job, guys. And this is peak David Fincher. Let's hope the sequel they're making for this does not ruin the legacy of this one. When I think of having an adventure, I think of Indiana Jones. Does it really get more fun than this? From the opening scene to the last, Raiders of the Lost Ark is a grade A action adventure. Harrison Ford, Steven Spielberg, and archaeology have combined to make the best adventure movie I've ever seen. And besides being fun, it's damn good to look at too. Just a beautifully shot movie and chock full of iconic lines and scenes and music by the great John Williams. Indiana Jones is so great that the only other movie I considered for this category was The Last Crusade, simply off this transition. This is Spielberg at his peak directorial powers, and it shows. He set out to make a fun movie and made a classic. For my last choice, I had to pick Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Quentin Tarantino's 2019 reimagining of 70s Hollywood, starring an insane cast of Leo DiCaprio, Brad Pitt, and Margot Robbie. This may be an odd pick for some of you, but for me, there's just something about Once Upon a Time that I find endlessly rewatchable and entertaining throughout, which at almost 3 hours is kind of insane. It helps that this movie's really funny. Leo, who plays fading TV star Rick Dalton, is trying to cope with that fact and is hilarious, and Brad Pitt is a stuntman and pretty much his shoulder to cry on, which makes it even better.
Oh. Hey.
I'm sorry about that.
Here, put these on. Don't cry in front of the Mexicans.
And I think that buddy dynamic carries this movie so much for me. I just enjoy these guys interacting and beating people up and sometimes being good at acting. But Margot Robbie's also in this movie, and I like her feet. I like her acting. It's just an enjoyable ass ride in the sunset for me and a perfect capper to the day. So that's the final list, guys. Let me know what your favorite movies would be in here, what you would change out of mine, or whatever. That's kind of the fun about this, to see what you guys would pick. There was so much math involved in this. My brain hurts. There is 35 minutes left, and those are intentional. That is for me to sit in the sun and contemplate my life choices and why I thought this was a good idea. If you guys enjoy this at all, please like or subscribe or whatever you really want to do. But yeah, thanks for watching. If you've made it this far, you're goated or joted. I appreciate all the love I've been getting on the last couple of videos. It's really nice to see. I really love doing this, so just thanks so much. All right, have a good one.